so have you seen those videos all over the internet of dogs like hitting buttons that say walk or play, or even sometimes like, I love you? And so many people are convinced that their dogs are like really talking to them.
Right.
But like, could they actually be understanding those words?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
Okay, cool.
We're looking at a recent research study that was published this past August from PLOS ONE
Okay.
that looked at this question.
Fascinating stuff, right? It's not just like anecdotal evidence anymore. Like there's actual scientific research going into this.
Exactly. So this study was really cool because they did a two-part experiment
Okay.
to try to get to the bottom of it. So they started with 30 dogs in their own homes.
Okay.
And researchers went and visited them.
Right.
And they would press buttons on the dog's soundboards.
Gotcha.
And then they did the same thing.
Okay.
But they did it with 29 other dogs.
Okay.
But they had the owners press the buttons.
That's cool. So like a citizen science kind of thing.
Yeah, it was like a citizen science kind of part of the study.
Okay.
But the cool thing was
Yeah.
to make sure that the dogs weren't just responding to like their owner's body language.
Right.
They had the owners wear noise-canceling headphones
Sure.
and be blindfolded to what word was being tested.
Okay.
So they were minimizing what's called the clever Hans effect.
Oh, yeah, the Clever Hans effect.
Yeah, you heard of that?
Yeah. So there was like this horse named Clever Hans,
Right.
who everyone thought could do math.
Uh-huh.
And it turns out he wasn't actually doing math. He
Right.
was just picking up on these subtle cues
Yeah.
from his handler who knew the answer. So it's like they wanted to make sure that the dogs were really reacting to the words
Right.
and not just like, I don't know, their owner like tapping their foot or something.
Exactly. So what words were they testing?
So they focused on words that you usually see on these dog soundboards.
Okay.
So they had 3 categories. So there were outside words.
Like outside.
Yeah, like out and outside.
Uh-huh.
They had play words.
Like play.
Yeah, like play and toy.
Okay.
And of course, food words.
Of course.
Food, eat,
You knew it was coming.
dinner, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then they also had this nonsense word like daxing as the control.
Okay.
But get this. When they tested those play and outside words,
Yeah.
it was like a huge success.
Really?
Yeah. So the dogs were about 7 times more likely to show play behaviors after a play word.
Wow.
And like the same for outside behaviors when they heard outside.
So like all those times that we thought our dogs understood when we were like, you want to go for a walk?
Right.
We might have actually been right.
It seems that way.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
There was even one example in the study where a dog trotted straight to the door
Real.
after hearing outside, even though the owner had no idea what word was said.
Wow. It's pretty cool. It makes you think about just how much they're taking in, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so what about the food words?
Yeah.
Are you going to tell me that I can't have those deep dinner conversations with my dog
Wow.
like I always dreamed of?
The results for the food words were a little bit mixed.
Okay.
The dogs didn't always like do food behaviors after hearing food words, but there is a possible explanation for this.
What is it?
So the tests were a lot of times done like during the day
Right.
when the dogs probably weren't that hungry.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like, you know, if I offered you like a 5-course meal after you had Thanksgiving dinner,
Right.
you're probably not going to be that excited about it.
You're right.
Wow.
Okay, but now for like the really mind-blowing part of this whole thing.
Okay.
The dogs in this study responded the same way, whether it was their owner who pressed the button
Wow.
or a total stranger.
That's wild.
I know.
That's really cool.
It suggests that they're actually reacting to the word, not their owner.
Not just picking up on their owner's cues.
Yeah.
That's one of the coolest things about this research.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just like, oh, there's mom pushing that button again. I guess I should go to the door.
Right.
It was like they knew what the word meant.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the researchers were like, okay, but are they responding to the button itself
Right.
or the actual sound of the word?
Yeah.
So in the citizen science part,
Mm-hmm.
they had the owners both press the buttons
Okay.
and say the words out loud.
Gotcha.
So what happened? Did they react differently?
No, they actually reacted the same way to both.
But that's like, shut up.
Yeah.
So they're not just associating the button
Yeah.
with the action.
Great.
They're recognizing the word itself,
The sound of the word.
whether it's coming from a button
Oh.
or a human mouth.
Yeah. It makes you wonder just how much they're listening to when we're talking.
Oh.
Like, how much of our conversations are they actually understanding?
That is so wild.
And we already know that they're really good at picking up on our emotions and body language.
Uh-huh.
So if you add on this like basic word recognition on top of that, Like, it's pretty cool.
What else are they picking up on?
Yeah, what else are they understanding?
That's a great question. So obviously this is one study.
Right.
So we can't take it as like the be-all, end-all.
Of course not.
But it's really interesting.
It is. It's super fascinating.
And we need more research.
For sure.
Yeah.
We need to look at more dogs.
Yeah.
More words. Maybe different breeds.
Yeah. Different breeds might be interesting.
Yeah. Like maybe some breeds are better at learning words than others.
Right. And what about other types of words?
Yeah.
Not just like these concrete actions.
Right. What about more abstract concepts?
Yeah. Could a dog understand the difference between like ball and frisbee?
Yeah. That's a good one.
What about like words describing emotions?
Oh.
Like happy or sad?
Interesting. Like, could they connect that to our tone of voice?
All right.
Or our facial expressions?
Yeah.
That would be wild.
That would change everything.
That would really change how we think about their intelligence.
Yeah. And how they communicate with us.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm hooked. We need more research.
We definitely do.
But what can our listeners do?
Yeah.
In the meantime, to learn more about their own dog's abilities?
I think the best thing you can do is just pay attention to your dog.
Okay.
Like, watch their behavior.
Okay.
Notice how they react to different words that you use.
Okay.
Do certain words seem to get their attention?
Okay. So basically, I should sit at home and stare at my dog and just whisper, treat, and walk over and over again.
Well, maybe not quite like that, but the
Yeah.
more you watch them,
Yeah.
the more you'll understand how they're communicating with you.
Right. And who knows? Maybe some of our listeners out there have dogs that are like secret language geniuses.
Right? Maybe there's like a dog Einstein out there just waiting to be discovered.
That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But even if your dog isn't like hitting buttons and forming sentences, this research shows that they are really smart.
Yeah.
And that they're tuned into us.
They are. They're listening. They're learning.
And maybe they're understanding more than we realize.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes you think about our relationships with them in a whole new way.
I love that. So this research is super exciting.
It is.
But it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Totally. There's so much more to learn.
I know. So we're going to take a quick break right here, but don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more awesome insights from the world of dog communication.
Sounds good.
Okay, see you in a sec.
See ya.
Welcome back. So before the break, we were talking about how this study shows that dogs might understand at least some of the words we say to them.
Yeah.
But it's important to remember that this study focused on a specific type of word, right?
Exactly. So the words they tested were all about things that dogs experience all the time. So going outside, playtime, and food.
Right.
It makes sense that those words would have a strong meaning for them.
So when you think about it from the dog's perspective,
right,
these words aren't just random sounds.
Yeah.
They actually mean something.
Yeah, they're predictors of something good that's going to happen.
Right? Like outside means adventures.
Exactly.
Play means fun with their favorite person.
Yeah.
And even though the food words didn't get the strongest reactions, let's be honest, dogs are always ready for a snack.
Of course. Always tuned in to anything that might involve a treat.
Right. Okay, so remember how we talked about how the researchers wanted to make sure that the dogs weren't just responding to their owner's cues?
Right.
They also wanted to know if they were recognizing the sound of the word or just connecting a button to an outcome.
Right. Is it the button itself or the actual word?
Exactly. So in that citizen science part of the study,
Yeah.
they had the owners both press the buttons and say the words out loud.
Gotcha.
So what did they find? Did speaking the words out loud change anything?
Nope. The dogs reacted the same way to both.
No way.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just oh, mom's pushing that button again. I guess I should go wait by the door.
Exactly.
It was they actually knew that outside meant outside.
Yeah. They understood the sound of the word.
Ah, that's crazy. So they're walking around listening to us.
Right.
And picking out certain words from all the sounds we're making.
It really makes you think, how much are they actually understanding?
I know.
Yeah.
And we already know that they're really good at understanding our emotions and body language.
Right. So if you add this basic word recognition to that,
yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
It's wild. So obviously this is just one study.
Yeah, of course.
There's so much more we need to learn.
Absolutely. We need more research with more dogs, more words, maybe different breeds.
Yeah.
Maybe some breeds are better at understanding words than others.
That's a good point. And what about other types of words?
Yeah.
Not just these concrete actions.
Right. What about more abstract concepts?
Yeah. Could a dog understand the difference between ball and frisbee?
Yeah. Could they learn the difference between those two objects based on the word?
Right. What about words that describe emotions?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like happy or sad?
Could they connect that to our tone of voice or our facial expressions?
That would be crazy.
That would totally change our understanding of how intelligent they are.
And how they communicate with us.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. We need more research on this.
We definitely do. But in the meantime, your listeners are probably wondering, like, what can they do?
What can they do at home without all the fancy buttons and stuff?
Right. Well, you don't need a high-tech soundboard to connect with your dog.
Right.
The most important thing is just to pay attention.
Okay.
Watch your dog's behavior.
Okay.
Notice how they react to different words and phrases.
Okay.
Do certain words seem to get their attention more than others?
Okay. So I should just sit at home and stare at my dog and whisper, treat, and walk over and over again.
Uh-huh. Maybe not quite like that.
Okay.
But you get the idea. The more you watch them, the more you'll understand how they're communicating with you.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe some of our listeners out there have dogs that are like secret language geniuses.
Yeah. Maybe there's a dog Einstein out there.
I love that. But even if our dogs aren't like forming sentences in their heads,
right,
this research shows that they're really smart.
They are. They're super smart.
And they are tuned into us.
They're listening, they're learning, and maybe they're understanding more than we thought possible.
I love that. It makes you think about our relationship with them in a totally new way.
It does. And I think this is a good place to end this part of our deep dive.
Yeah. We've got more to talk about, so we'll be right back after a short break. All right, so we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into dog communication.
Yeah, it's been a fascinating conversation.
I know. It's so cool to think about how much our dogs might actually be understanding.
Right. But it's important to remember that we're still just scratching the surface.
Yeah, we don't want to get carried away and think that like our dogs are understanding everything we say.
Exactly. We need to be realistic about their abilities.
Right. It's not like they're secretly judging our vocabulary or anything.
Right.
But even if they're not like forming full sentences in their heads, it seems like they can connect certain sounds, those words, to real world things.
Like outcomes.
Yeah. And that's pretty amazing in itself.
It is. Like they've built up their own little dictionaries.
I love that. A dog dictionary.
Yeah. Where like outside equals the door opening.
Right.
And play means fun time with their human.
It makes you wonder how big those dictionaries could get.
Right? Like, what else could we teach them?
So what does all this mean for our listeners at home?
Yeah.
Who don't have all the fancy buttons?
Well, the good news is you don't need all that to connect with your dog.
Right.
The main takeaway is that our dogs are listening to us.
More than we realize, maybe.
Yeah, possibly. So be mindful of the words you use with them.
So, like, instead of just basic commands, we should try using more like descriptive language.
Exactly. Yeah. Talk to them about what you're doing, what you're going to do.
Oh, so like narrate their entire day.
Well, maybe not their entire day, but the more you talk to them, using clear language, the more they'll be able to connect those words to their meaning.
And who knows, maybe someday when I ask my dog who's a good boy, he'll actually answer back.
That would be amazing.
That would be a breakthrough.
It would. But even if our dogs never start talking to us in full sentences, I think this research shows us just how smart they really are.
Yeah, and how in tune they are with us.
They're listening, they're learning.
And they might understand more than we think.
It really makes you appreciate them even more.
I know. It makes you think about your relationship with your dog in a whole new way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today.
Yeah.
But this is such a fascinating topic.
It is.
And there's clearly so much more to learn.
Definitely.
So to all our listeners out there, the next time you look at your dog, remember, they might just understand more than you think.
Keep talking to them.
Keep learning from them.
Who knows what we'll discover in the future?
Exactly. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And we'll see you next time for another exciting exploration.